Okay, so episode 7 of the show is basically I forget what it was called.
It was called The Eye.
Okay, yes, The Eye. And episode 7 basically picks up where episode 6 Undone left off, where, we just had a massive volcano explode. Mount Doom came crashing down. At least that's what we assume it was. And we basically get to see the repercussions of that and the people recovering from that great tragedy where they thought they had won. They thought they had come to victory against the orcs. And then suddenly, last minute, they pull out this surprise hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. This episode didn't do it for me. I don't know if it's because of the nature of the fact that they were having to recover from stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff that was going on with Elrond and
Durin.
Oh my gosh.
King Durin. Yeah.
Yeah, King Durin. What was going on there just didn't seem like it mattered as much. It seemed like they were still just rehashing stuff that was taken care of in episode 5. I didn't feel like they were really advancing the story much there with that. It seems like everything that happened there could have been dealt with in episode 5 or even part of episode 6 or something, and then moved on from. I just feel like I don't know. Maybe it's because all the action was in the last episode, but I just felt like there was a bit of a disappointment. And then they did certain things in this episode where, like, spoiler alert. We got the spoiler alert going on.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. But Isildur dies.
But
we know he
can't die. Missing. He can't die.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, we know he can't be dead. So it's like, okay, what, like, don't do that. and then at the very end of the episode, they go to the bottom of the mithril mine and they show us the Balrog.
Yes.
And it's like, what? Where are you going with this? This makes... Are you insane? This is way too early for that.
I'm a little torn because I'm at one point, I'm very excited to see the Balrog. I mean, it looks just, even though it's like a 1 second shot, it looks great. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it did look good.
But at that same time, I was kind of with you. I'm like, okay, so where are they going to go with this right now? Because we already have so many stakes right now. We have Sauron on the rise. We have those 3 pale-looking mystery characters that set the Harfoot's houses on fire. We don't know who they are.
Yeah.
But they're a new threat now. And we obviously got the stranger still, missing or whatever. So we have all these things happening, but on top of that, now you got a Balrog. So I feel it's one of those things where they reveal him, but they're not going to do anything with him for who knows? I mean, obviously there's 1 episode left here until the next season. So I'm not sure if he's going to show up in the finale, but yeah, that was an interesting choice for sure. I mean, I was excited to see the Balrog for sure. I mean, like I said, it looks fantastic. And then we find out that Queen Muriel is blind, which to me, I'm kind of annoyed by because I'm like, was there anyone else that was blind by this? And also, how did she actually get? I know.
Why is she? Why her? Why not everyone else?
Exactly. Why her specifically? Just because she's an important character, right? I mean, it just feels a bit like a cop out.
It felt like the writing here was just lacking, and they didn't know how to. I don't know. I just feel like I'm confused about this. So I just don't know what they were trying to accomplish with this episode. You have a little bit of relationship building between Theo and Galadriel, but why?
Yeah.
And then you have the Númenóreans being like, oh, we're going to come back, but acting as if they're his son died, so now he just completely regrets what he did and completely hates everything here, instead of recognizing the fact that this is an even bigger threat than they realized.
Mm-hmm.
They need even more help than they realized, Ellendale, So it's like, dude, like, I just feel like it just felt off. Like we had been through so much with the characters, and I feel like it had built up to episode 6. I was so excited with episode 6.
Yeah.
This just felt like a bit of a letdown compared to what we had just seen.
Yeah, and I thought you had mentioned, I'm not sure if you texted it to me or if you posted it. It made the same mistake as Game of Thrones. What mistake was that? Was it the fact that when the Night King episode happened in Game of Thrones, that everything from there, like that was such a high peak that everything kind of then after that was like, okay, now what type of thing? Or was it something else? Did I imagine that? Did I imagine that? Maybe I dreamed that. I don't know.
Maybe you dreamed that.
I could be. Well, I thought you had said something like this. Reigns of Power made the same mistake, or no? You know what? That may have been like a Screen Rant article. For some reason, I thought you had said it, but you may not have.
I do know they do something similar in episode 8 that happened in Game of Thrones or House of Dragons episode 8.
I see.
But I didn't say anything about that online.
Yeah,
because I usually say that stuff for the show.
Right. Yeah.
Usually I don't release my opinions on that stuff when I'm doing a show about it.
Yeah.
So no, that was probably a Screen Rant article or something. But yeah, I wonder what that mistake would be in episode 7. But I just was, it just felt a little odd.
There was one good scene in this, and I'm debating whether it was actually good. It was because it was a tension-filled scene. It was with a scene where I forget who exactly it was. It was Nori, I believe, and maybe it was Nori and someone else. They were hiding under a tree trunk, and there were orcs nearby, like above them. It was almost shot for shot the same scene as in the Fellowship of the Ring.
That was Galadriel and Theo.
Was it Galadriel and Theo? Okay. It was almost shot for shot the same scene as in the Fellowship of the Ring when Frodo, Pippin, and Merry are hiding from the Nazgul, and it stops, and like I was just like, man, like I see what you're doing there.
He's pulling out the sword. Yeah, she's like puts her hand on him to stop him with the sword.
It's like the exact same.
So it's like Frodo pulling out the ring, but Sam putting his hand on him, being like, "Don't do it."
Exactly.
So it is doing. I mean, they are trying to do certain nods to the material, but sometimes I feel like the dialogue is trying too hard to come up with Tolkien sounding language. Like just certain things that they say where it's like, dude, I know what you're trying to do. Like at the end of this episode when the Queen is talking and saying stuff about how, we're going to go and we're going to bring back more people and, and we're going to do this, we're going to forge the whatever of men and elves and they're trying to make it sound all epic and everything. And it's like, yeah, but I mean, like you're writing this and coming up with it on your own because you don't have the rights to Tolkien stuff about this. So I don't know. They're just trying too hard on some of the dialogue, I think. Whereas I feel like if they would just relax and try and let the show just be its own thing.
Yeah.
It's Tolkien, but it's still the fact that it's not Lord of the Rings, it's supposed to be its own show. It's supposed to be original in a way. And I just feel like they need to decide if they're going to embrace that or if they're going to keep trying to live up to the other namesake.
Right. Yeah. And one of the pros I actually did have this episode was the conversation, was the drama between Durin and his father, King Durin. That scene with him ripping off his, whatever it was around his
chest
neck.
plate,
like that was a great scene. I thought, like his relationship with him and his father now being strained, obviously, and I did like that plot element for it. But I will agree with you that they seem to have been dragging out this whole Elrond, will they or won't they give them the Mithril theme for like 3 or 4 episodes, and it's felt like it's been dragged out a lot.
Yeah.
And and they spent like half this episode alone doing that again. But what else did I have here? Yeah, then there's, like I said, these strangers. I still don't know who they are. These wizards that, you know, can apparently we see what some of the damage they can do. They set the some of the Harfoot's houses straight up on fire, and it's the flash, an instant. So we still don't know who they are, but now that we know they're after the stranger for reasons.
I wish they would have let us know if any Harfoots got killed there, because they didn't let us know any of that. They was like, wait, so did people die, or is it just like their stuff destroyed? Like, what kind of destruction happened here? Like, are these people actually being like, are they villainous, or are they trying to set something right? You know what I mean? Because
I thought we heard screaming like in the background. I could be wrong, but I thought we heard screaming at least. So I would assume
they're obviously like, to me, they're obviously bad guys. You know what I mean? But I'm just like, but if that's supposed to be Sauron, then it's like a really poor, like, I don't know how that works. You know, like that doesn't make any sense. Right. But we'll see.